Dan, do you have what you're going to read? Oh, okay, I didn't see it over here, so I got a little nervous. Okay. Yes, it's been a very long week. Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm looking. Right, exactly. No, right? It's awful. Hi, Mark. I'm good. Hey, Janice. I think everybody's falling asleep today. Yeah. All right, we got 4 minutes. I guess we're just gonna wait for whoever gets here. Okay. Oh, wow. Oh, I'm sure. You're wiped out for sure. Yeah. Mhm. You'll do it. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. All right, somebody open the door for somebody. Somebody's holding the door though. Oh, good. I need him to sign two cards. I'm on it.
We be ready. Here, ready?
They're ready.
We're good. He's turning in, so he's here, but let's start. We can just jump in.
It's
Yeah,
up to you.
yeah, we can start.
We're live. Yep. Catherine.
Kathleen, ready? Yeah, we're like. Ready? Can I call the meeting to order, please?
Would you like a roll call? Dr. Lopez?
Here?
Mr. Carlson?
Here.
Ms. McCronis? Here. Mr. Holt and Mr. Post are absent.
Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Move we adopt the agenda.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next item is item D, recognitions and presentations. Dr. Streeter?
And at this point, I will ask the board to join me down below near the podium. We have a couple of recognitions this evening. To start us off, I would like to call Martha Bishop up front, please. We clapped for you. We haven't been told them why yet. So Martha Bishop, Twin Peaks K-8 kindergarten teacher, has been named the 2022 Arizona Science Teachers Association Elementary Teacher of the Year. Now you This award is given annually by the Arizona Science Teachers Association to recognize and honor colleagues who exemplify quality science teaching. The award is presented to one teacher from the elementary level, middle level, and high school level. Nominees must be a certified full-time classroom teacher and a current member of the Arizona Science Teachers Association. Martha is a science teacher leader who has been at Twin Peaks for 6 years. She has been a professional learning community leader, served as an advocate on the child assistance behavior team, mentored new teachers, and facilitated professional learning sessions for her colleagues. She is credited with recognizing the importance of creating exploratory opportunities and engaging students in inquiry early and often during their school experience. Ms. Bishop makes science learning come alive for her young kindergarten students. Her creativity and excitement shine through, said Principal Dr. Luce. Martha has also served as a STEM amazing teacher leader. STEMazing, it's kind of a weird play on words. But served as a STEMazing teacher leader in MUSD, where she engaged in professional learning sessions on the 3 dimensions of science approach to science instruction. Throughout this program, she researched, designed, developed, and hosted quarterly rock and science collaboration workshops for her teaching peers. Serving as a mentor for colleagues, she implemented high-quality science instruction in their respective classrooms. Martha, congratulations on this deserving recognition.
Thank you. Congratulations, Martha.
I'd also like to recognize another one of our outstanding teachers that represents another one of my favorite classrooms to visit around the district. So can we have Jill Palos join us up front, please? The National Board for Professional Teaching Standards announced in December that Mrs. Jill Palos has achieved National Board certification. Mrs. Palos is a reading teacher at Coyote Trail Elementary School and serves as a member of their instructional leadership team. This is her 4th year at Coyote Trail. Jill received her National Board certification in literacy, reading language arts, early and middle childhood. National Board certification was designed to develop, retain, and recognize accomplished teachers and to generate ongoing improvement in schools nationwide. National Board certification is an advanced teaching credential in which teachers have met the profession's highest standards and have the knowledge and skills necessary to advance student learning. Teachers must exhibit a deep understanding of their students, content knowledge, use of data, and assessments in teaching practice. The certification process requires that teachers demonstrate standards-based evidence of the positive effect they have on student learning in alignment with the 5 core propositions. The National Board 5 core propositions and standards describe what accomplished teachers should know and be able to do to have a positive impact on student learning. The certification identifies teachers who meet those standards through a performance-based peer-reviewed series of assessment components. Currently, there are 17 nationally board certified teachers and 1 nationally certified school nurse in the district. Attainment of National Board certification is one of the most prestigious and respected professional certifications available in all of K-12 education. We are incredibly proud of our staff and recognize the extensive amount of work that is involved in this rigorous multi-year process. Please join me in congratulating Jill.
Congratulations. Okay, next item on the board is item E, board communications. Go ahead.
Yes, Dr. Lopez. Thank you, Dr. Streeter, Dr. Lopez, Vice President Holt, and my fellow board members. I want to thank Dr. Streeter for attending the Arizona School Board Association Bolts training on January 27th with me. It was an informative day, and I appreciate the opportunity to learn. I also want to thank the administration, staff, and students for the wonderful school site visits at MCAT and Quail Run. I'm looking forward to visiting other campuses this year. I also want to thank Butterfield and Coyote Trail Elementary Schools for inviting me to their Love of Reading sessions on February 16th. I truly believe the more you read, the more you will know. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I have some.
Oh, go ahead, Tom.
Couple things. So we've had a whole bunch of people going up to the building across the street, can't think of the name right now, to look at the reading curriculum. And I think that's awesome. I think the study session, they said like 136 people had been there thus far, and there's probably more since in the last couple of weeks. But so there's been, I don't know, a dozen or more that people who I know who have gone through and looked at the materials. There's a couple issues with individual texts that we're looking at, but by far the impressions have been very favorable. And I know that a lot of retired teachers have gone through and looked at everything, and they're, some of the most frequent comments have been, gosh, I wish I had something like this when I was a teacher. So I think that's really positive. Also, thankfully, the AEL thing was extended. Unfortunately, just one more year. They haven't solved it yet, but and I know Representative Jones voted against it, and she has her specific reasons. However, she did call out Marana as being the school district that is the exception, um, to why she voted against it. So, had other school districts in the state been like Marana, she would have been in support of it. But I think that speaks well for MUSD, that lawmakers up there have taken note of the fiscal responsibility that Marana has displayed over the years, and um, the regard that people up there hold us. So that's kudos to everybody for that.
Thank you. Do you have anything? No. All right, next item is item F, remarks from the public. We do have one. Ms. York, come on up. Yeah, it'll turn.
Okay. Good evening, President Lopez, members of the governing board, Dr. Streeter, senior staff, and community members. My name is Raina York. I'm representing the Marana Education Association tonight. First, I want to take a second just to congratulate all of the Marana educators being recognized this month for their outstanding contributions in education. There have been a ton of them. I was especially thrilled to see recognitions for automotive teacher Mr. Citro from Marana High School and dance teacher Mrs. Andrews from Mountain View, because it highlights the need to invest in our electives and career education courses at all ages, and we see such fantastic opportunities in those areas provided by professionals that make it meaningful. I also want to take a moment to thank the administration, and specifically Mrs. Reedy, for the thoroughness and transparency of the reading and writing curriculum adoption. We appreciate that the adoption of a curriculum is happening because the administration listened to the needs and concerns of our educators for a curriculum and were responsive. In addition, Mrs. Reedy made sure to include a wide variety of educators in the vetting and selection of the curriculum to ensure that those impacted had a voice. We believe that these collaborative efforts that respect the professional input of our educators is one aspect that makes Marana a great district to work in. It's been exciting to hear the very positive feedback from educators, and we appreciate the careful attention and thoughtfulness that this team has put into this. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is item G, superintendent comments.
President Lopez, governing board members, members of the audience. Since our last meeting, we've had several events, and some of our board members have mentioned these. So I'm going to echo some of those sentiments. Just this week, we were very pleased to see that the aggregate expenditure limit was overridden, allowing us to expend the funds that had already been appropriated to us. Unfortunately, we know that we're going to be right back in the same situation a year from now unless we get a permanent fix. I am hopeful that work will begin on a permanent fix so that we can continue to put our attention where it needs to be and not have sleepless nights wondering if we're going to be able to use the funds that continue to get appropriated to us. Also want to echo some of the sentiments that Mrs. McCronis shared on. I really want to thank the Quail Run Elementary School team for opening their doors to Mrs. McCronis and I on the 2nd. This was for another one of our superintendent governing board campus visits. We were able to see a variety of activities on campus. This included just differentiated instruction, collaborative math lessons, and I'm going to say many examples of guided reading. It was many examples of guided reading at Quail Run. Additionally, we were able to meet with each employee group as well as their student council officers. And really the common theme at Quail Run had to do with the strong community feel and the appreciation for the support that everyone feels at Quail Run. Certainly the Quail Run team should be incredibly proud of the work that they've put into place. We had some great conversations. We got great feedback from teachers and students and staff. We're very impressed with the level of support that this campus holds for each other, and it's very clear that Quail Run is a special place with a community oriented culture in place. Also, previous to that, I want to thank the MCAT team that opened their doors to Mr. Carlson, Mrs. McCronis, and myself back on January 20th for that superintendent board campus visit. We had a great, albeit very busy day with a well thought out agenda that allowed us to get into just about every classroom on that campus. Additionally, we enjoyed meeting with every employee group as well as their student leadership team. And these conversations were both engaging and presented a common theme around the community and family feel that's present at MCAT. And I think that really speaks to the true commitment that staff has to their students. And this was felt and reflected back when we met with the students. Their comments included, "This is a community, we are family. I'm seen as a person here. I feel heard by my teachers. Everyone is here to help. This is a community." The MCAT team should be incredibly proud as they clearly have a dynamic culture in place on that campus. Also want to echo Mrs. McCronin's comments on the Bolts training back on January 27th. This was really a part of the continued orientation to boardsmanship that Mrs. McCronis has been engaged in. I think one of the things that I think we both enjoyed was just the opportunity to share our table with a couple of board members from the Catalina Foothills School District. And really what that did is allowed us to compare some of the best practices, some of the things that they do in their district, some of the things that we do in our district. And I think that I can speak for both of us when I say that we look forward to sharing some of those insights with our entire board at a future date. And of course, I want to thank the members of the community that joined us back on January 17th for the Bond Oversight Committee. If you're a community member interested in the Bond Oversight Committee, keep an eye out for future announcements, as that's a committee that will be ongoing as we move forward with some of the bond projects that were a part of the November ballot initiative that was approved. And this concludes my report for tonight.
Okay, thank you. Next item is item H, consent agenda. Can I have a motion?
I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Any questions? The consent agenda has approval for voucher reports, personal reports, some gift and donations, out-of-state travel, and just some updated open enrollment capacity for school grades and programs. All those in favor?
Aye.
Next item is item I, unfinished business. We have none, so we'll move to item J, new business. Mr. Contorno, I was going to read that title, but it's like a paragraph, so you go for it.
Thank you. In November of 2022, voters authorized the issuance of $90 million of Class B school improvement bonds for various district projects. In order to obtain the dollars to complete these projects, the district must issue the first series of $35 million of this authorization. In other words, we need to sell the bonds to investors to gain that capital. Due to statutory constraints, ballot language dictated the use of these dollars. Proceeds from the sale must be used for the following categories: campus improvement and renovation to existing sites, new school and facility construction, technology and security upgrades, and enhancements in student transportation. What we're doing, what I hope we're doing tonight is there's going to be two resolutions in front of you that allows us to move forward with the help of our bond consultant and to sell these, issue these bonds. So there's two resolutions. The first resolution is the issuance of that $35 million. The second one is in light of the current bond and investment rates, the district is positioned to refinance several higher rated bonds for a savings to the taxpayers. Present value savings is currently estimated to be over $1.1 million. That's considering current bond rates. However, this number can fluctuate daily depending on market conditions until the bonds are actually sold. Per the resolution, we will not execute this if those numbers fall below $625,000. We would wait until a different time when we issue different bonds in order to see where that market is. So we're right now anticipating it to be over $1 million. I have all the finance documents in my office. Yep. So that's the agenda item. You're voting on two different resolutions.
Can I have a motion?
I move that the governing board adopt the resolution Exhibit A authorizing the insurance of school improvement bonds with the parameters set forth in the resolution, providing for annual levy of a tax for the payments of the bonds, delegating the authority to approve certain matters relating to the bonds to Dan Cantorno, CFO, and approving the form of finance documents, including the preliminary official statement. I further move that the governing board adopt the resolution Exhibit B authorizing the insurance and resale of refunding bonds of the district.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
I just have a couple.
Okay, go ahead,
Um,
Tom.
When do you think the sale will take place?
Probably, it's anticipated. We will get the proceeds in April, but I don't remember if the sale's actually in week after the sale, late February, early March. The proceeds will actually come April 10th is what it says.
Okay. And for the interest rate, okay, so it says that, I guess statute says that the interest rate can't exceed 5.5%. Is that right? So, so it's just going to be the market conditions that.
Correct.
Now, if the market conditions want a higher interest rate, then what happens?
Then we'll discuss at a later date. Right now, the interest rate that they're seeing for issuances of similar bond rating that we actually have a bond rating called Amaro, but we'll buy insurance to get the AA, I guess it is. Similar size issues by similar districts in Arizona are seeing about 3.8 to 4. So
Okay,
I don't feel that will be an issue.
right. And the ones that we're going to retire,
Yes.
what's the rate on those?
Those, I talked to Brian from Stiefel this morning. Those are about 4.86 on average. And when we refinance them, because they're going to be a shorter term, we're looking at the low threes. So
Okay.
it's a different
It's a different pot, right?
different pot. So yeah, what we're replacing, he said mid to high fours. He said 4.86 actually, and he anticipates low threes.
Okay. And the 35 million, that's a 20-year maturity?
Most of them are 30 year,
Oh, 30.
however, or 20 year.
20, okay.
However, some of them, if you buy furniture and equipment, needs to be paid off within the first 5 years. So some of that debt, I think it's $8 million. I think it's $8 million of it is going to be paid off in the first 5.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Next item is J2, discussion approval of 2024-2025 academic school calendar. Dr. Demler.
Yes, thank you, President Lopez, Vice President Holt, board members, Dr. Streeter, members of the community. I'm bringing forward from the calendar committee the attached calendar for the 2024-2025 school year. This calendar maintains some of the highlights that our community voted on the last time that we did a survey. Kind of those highlights would be keeping the 2 semesters as equal in length as possible, same number of days. Beginning the fall break on the Monday on which Columbus Day is celebrated. Scheduling winter break to include 2 full weeks and 3 weekends. People don't like the broken up weeks. ensuring that the school year is completed prior to Memorial Day and including the Wednesday of Thanksgiving week as part of the Thanksgiving break. And of course, approving the calendar at this time allows families and employees to plan far ahead for vacations and special events. By this time, we are already getting calls about the calendar a year from now. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Do I have a motion?
I move that the governing board approve the 2024-2025 school calendar.
I have a quick question, hon.
Okay.
So looking at this, your October fall break changed, right? It went a week later
Yes.
than
and it's-
originally. Okay.
Well, not necessarily than originally. It always moves to the week that starts with Columbus Day.
Columbus
So it
Day,
just happens
okay.
that Columbus Day is the second Monday, and this particular year that falls as late as it possibly can.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anybody else have questions?
Yeah. So with the publication of the calendar,
Mhm.
once again, we, raised the specter from the 2019 survey,
Mhm.
right? And the 2 half days in October and March. So I kind of thought that we were going to address that with this calendar, the 24, 25, but
We can't.
we're not. So can we, I don't know, get a committee together?
We
or
we
do it-
can't. We can't change that the way that we had voted on. Because when COVID hit, Governor Ducey did executive orders that we couldn't ever go lower than the number of calendar days that we had the year before, right?
Let me, can I
But
jump
go
in?
ahead. Yes.
Yeah, there's more to it.
But so if I'm hearing, you're asking for us to convene, I mean, we'll approve 24, 25, but to
Right,
convene a committee
Right.
to resurvey parents, because the last survey was done in 2019. So, 2023 years have passed. It's time to go back out to the community and see what those priorities are. So I think what I'm hearing is the request, and probably I think the board would agree. The direction from the board would be to reconvene a calendar committee next fall to set maybe a 3-year calendar cycle.
Right.
Is that accurate?
It is, yeah. Well, it's like Dr. Delmer said, I mean, is that,
the
that
way-
EO
the-
is still in effect?
Yeah. So the only way to fix that would be to go back and like play with when you start the beginning of the year,
Right.
add more days at the beginning. That then might mean adding more work days for teachers. And then that would be an issue. So because half days count as a regular school day. So what we would have been doing that spring when we adopted that calendar, when we put that on the survey, we would have been going to 176 calendar days.
Right,
And we're no longer allowed to go lower than 178.
right.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Parents hate them. because
I
it-
understand that.
It ruins
Mhm.
your work schedule.
And there may be other ways to address that.
Right,
So
right. So that's what we need to look at, I think.
Do you know when the executive order ends?
I think what happened then is it rolled into that,
They put in
A
statute.
different
That's what we're in
statute?
now.
yeah,
Yeah.
it rolled into a different statute, but that's what initially, because if you remember, we had to go back that
Yeah.
fall and change the calendar right then
Right,
in order to get funding for that year.
right.
Yeah.
And so we really don't want to risk funding.
So
Yeah.
quick question on that. I thought a full day was up till 2 PM. Or is that just for students to be counted? I thought if a student gets pulled out at 12, it's considered a full day. Well, I'm just kind of asking, or is it
It
two
it
different
it depends,
things?
I think. Depends on the level of the student, but then, so it's no less than this many days, but you must have this many hours. And so we
Mhm.
well exceed the required number of hours, but the required number of hours still has to be no less than 178 days.
I thought we didn't
Yeah.
pay for it.
It's convoluted.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
I know, it threw us all for a loop back then.
Yep, it did. We thought we had solved a really meaty problem.
Right.
Yes.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
It passed.
Thank
but
you.
Can I clarify direction?
Yes.
So the direction that I'm hearing tonight is That's approved, 24-25 is approved, but it's to reconvene the calendar committee in the fall of 2023, so this upcoming fall, to resurvey our stakeholder and community, to resurvey the stakeholder and community priorities and bring forward a 3-year calendar block for approval then at the conclusion of that committee's work.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Sounds good.
All right, thank you. Next item is item J3, discussion approval of policy considerations.
Dr. Lopez, governing board members, members of the audience, tonight I bring forward 4 separate policies. Again, the following policies, like we've been doing the last few meetings, these are being revised based on recommendation from the Arizona School Boards Association, really for 2 main reasons. One, some of these policy changes are a result of laws that were passed in the last legislative session. And then 2, some of these policy changes are recommendations based on the comprehensive policy review that we did through ASBA. So it would just be bringing some of our policies back in line with ASBA template policy. So tonight you're looking at transportation services, which is related to Senate Bill 1246, and specifically recognizes some of the statutes that have been approved. Policy EEA, bus driver requirements, training and responsibilities, again, is referencing changes to statute based on past legislation. Policy FF is naming of facilities. That's an ASBA template policy that came out through the policy review. This would just put us back in line with what template policy says. And then JJIA, which is intramural sports. Again, this just puts us in alignment with Senate Bill 1165. So and those are each in your packet.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
I move that the governing board approve revisions to policy EE, transportation services, policy EEAEA, bus driver requirements, training and responsibilities, policy FF, naming facilities, and policy JJIA, intramural sports.
I second.
Any questions?
Yeah, I do actually. When the interscholastic, is that including AIA? Yes, correct. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I'll ask this later on. I don't know the answer. So just if I don't ask tomorrow, Dan, remind me.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Next item is item 4. It's to conduct an executive session pursuant to ARS 38-431.03, 8, and 5 for the purpose of consulting with and/or instructing the board's representative regarding negotiations. Okay, second.
I move that the governing board conduct an executive session pursuant to ARS 38-431.03A5 for the purposes of consulting with and/or instructing the board's representatives regarding negotiation.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So we will be conducting an executive session at this point, so thank you. We will be back. So.